Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Secrets. I'm your host, Mohammed Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia, and the co-author of New Success Secrets available on Amazon. On this episode, we have a special guest, Corey Dissin. Corey is a business coach, mentor, and branding specialist. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Corey Dissin. Corey, welcome.
Mr. Siddique, how are you, my friend? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you so much. Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
I'll try to answer this as concisely as I can because I know we have a limited amount of time. But very early on as a teenager, my best friend's father got me involved in community television, cable access TV. When I saw the cameras and the lights, that enamored me. I said, ooh, I want to get involved in the media somehow. Fast forward to while I was in college, I got an internship at a classic rock station in Philadelphia. I met their production director, who happened to be the voice of the Howard Stern show, a man by the name of Paul Turner. And he and I got to be friendly, and he kind of took me under his wing. And, he showed me that production and radio and commercials was a cool thing. And that's kind of where the love affair with the media business and advertising began for me.
Wonderful. What are the top 3 mistakes to avoid when it comes to growing your business?
When it comes to growing your business, there are 3 things you got to make sure of. And the 3 things that I'm going to suggest are probably counterintuitive. Most people don't think of these things. Number 1, stop leaning on your talent. Everyone says, well, because my art or my craft, I'm so good at it, I should make tons of money. There's a reason why there's a term called starving artists. Okay, you got to do the other work besides your skill or your craft. Number 2, you can't wait. There's no perfect time. The planets are not going to align for probably like another 130 years. So you can't wait till then to go get started to, get ramped up on your entrepreneurial journey or do that next podcast or buy that company or start that company. And number 3, once you get involved, once you jump in, there's no set it and forget it. You can't mail it in. Marketing, business, entrepreneurship is a contact sport. If you want to play businessman, well, then you can go, get somebody else to do the work for you, and you're not going to be as successful. You've got to get involved and get your hands dirty.
Wonderful. What is your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
In one of my past entrepreneurial ventures, I started an apparel company that was marketed towards the mixed martial arts industry, sponsoring fighters and that kind of thing. And, wearing my apparel and whatnot. And I got way too top heavy in pre-ordering inventory. And it turned out to be, I couldn't even, sell what I had pre-purchased. And I learned the lesson of, hey, I have to grow my audience smarter. I have to not put so much money in inventory up front and kind of print as you go. And, that, like I said, that was a big lesson from that failure.
How did you recover from it?
Well, what I did is about 10 years later, like fast forward to now, I took the name of that company, which was called Discipline, D-I-S-S, Discipline. And I just shifted the focus a little bit and turned it from just an apparel company. I turned it into an entire methodology. And it's a show that I do every Monday, a live stream that I do that talks about doing simple things really ridiculously well every day to be successful, having discipline. And that's paid off and then some, because it gets me a lot of visibility, and I was able to brand it correctly too.
What are your top 3 success secrets others can model from?
And this is kind of works hand in hand with learning from the mistakes, but learn to do small things ridiculously well over a sustained period of time. So many business owners and entrepreneurs get mesmerized by shiny objects or new software or new pieces of equipment, and they lose sight of the small, simple things they can be doing just for themselves, even eating healthy, drinking water, staying physically fit, and then which leads into number 2, writing things down. This little guy right here is the best tool you can own if you're going to market your business. A pen, it's cost 10 cents. And when you take this little object here and you rub it up against paper, you make words and sentences, and you can keep track of what you're doing. And it has a dramatic effect on what you can get done if you write things down instead of trying to impress everybody with your memory. And number 3, Kobe Bryant said this best. So I'm going to quote him first and then tell you, my version of that. You got to edit your life. If what you're doing in your pursuit, your goal, your dream, your business, whatever your entrepreneurial venture, whatever it is, you've got to be uber focused. Everything you do has got to be channeled to that mission, and anything else that doesn't contribute to that mission, whether that's an activity, whether that's a relationship, you have to cut that out of your life to be successful. If you can't focus, if you can't hone in on what are income producing activities only, it's going to be a very long slog for you in your business life.
Amazing lessons, Corey. We are about to move into a lightning round. That means quick question and quick answer.
Let's go. I'm ready.
What are you grateful for today?
Well, number 1, I'm grateful for the time I get to spend with my family. You and I were talking earlier. My number 1 currency that is the most important to me is something called QTL, which is quality time left. And because I put in a lot of work prior to create a situation where I'm able to make more than full-time money and working part-time hours, I have a lot of flex time that I can go hang out with my wife for a coffee, or go walk the dog for a long walk, or go treat myself to a workout. That time that I get to have for me, booking those appointments with myself, is huge. It's a game changer, because I worked for a big company. I had a nice fat salary. I had many employees I was responsible for, but there's more to life than just making that big paycheck.
Wonderful. How young are you?
Well, according to the calendar, I'm 48, but according to the big bald head, I'm probably maybe 27. How's that?
You are not 48. You are 18 years old with 30 years experience.
Well said. Well said.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
Well, ideally, I'd be playing third base for the Philadelphia Phillies, but I don't think they're looking for a 48-year-old rookie at this point. And by the way, I would certainly do the Atlanta Braves, because I grew up, get this, in Stone Mountain, Georgia. So I'm anything with Atlanta. But anyway, I would love to play ball if I could when I grow up.
How do you overcome a challenge life throws at you?
I have a very simple saying that I share with my clients and that I have utilized over and over again. It's called punch failure in the face. Pretty simple. It's aggressive. You're going to screw up. You can't grow unless you do. You just got to dust yourself off and get back at it.
How do you start your day?
I have a very specific routine every morning that includes everything from making the bed, getting some reading done, doing the dishes, walking the dog, getting some exercise in, scheduling meals, water, coffee, breakfast number 2. It's very regimented.
What is the advice you will give to younger yourself?
Stop chasing the skirts, Corey. Focus. You don't have to go to every party or be as social as you think. There you go. I'll leave it at that, at the risk of incriminating myself. How's that?
Once you have a revenue generating idea, how do you convince your significant other?
Anymore, I try not to propose those, because I think she's had enough, because I've done so many different entrepreneurial ventures. But if it involves making money without me having to devote much time, whether it's an investment or some consulting, or I'm only, a phone call here, a phone call there, that's generally best. But I factor in time missed from family when I, think about getting involved in anything.
What is the impactful book you have read, and what did you learn from it?
Oh, man. Check out this. Habits of a Champion. Coach Dana Cavalier, former strength and conditioning coach for the New York Yankees for a dozen years. He is a guy that I've worked with for almost 3 years. You can see this has a big dent in the cover. I've really mowed through this really well. The biggest thing that he reinforced to me is consistency over time yields results.
Why being impactful is important to you?
Well, at some point you got to understand, as you go through life, you try to collect certain goals, achievements, things, all things for you. And once you figure out that some of those things aren't as important, and the biggest gift is if you can make an impact on somebody else, that you can put your head on the pillow at night and go, hey, I'm leaving a legacy. I'm helping other people. That has a lot of weight to it.
Who is your mentor and what's the impact?
Wow. I have a few. I'll try to roll through them fast. Currently, like Dana I work with, a few days every month. I also, because he's helped me both health, fitness, business, etc. He covers a lot of ground. But also, I mentioned Paul Turner early in the interview. I've known the man for over 30 years. There's a guy who's very big in the radio business named Tim Sabian, was Howard Stern's program director for a long time. He's like an adopted uncle to me. He's been a great business advisor to me. And of course, my parents, they're still around. Thank goodness. I can always give them a call and get a second opinion, maybe not so objective, from both of them on anything I'm proposing.
What do you want to be remembered for?
No one, and I mean no one, you will ever meet has worked harder than me.
Who is your ideal client?
The ideal client for me is someone that understands how to get out of their own way and that is coachable, that understands they can't do it themselves, and they don't think so much about ROI, return on investment. They're thinking more of COI, cost of an action.
How can we support you?
Well, you can mail checks too. Just kidding. You can go to CoreyDissin.com, of course, right there at the bottom of the screen. You can access all of my social media profiles. I'm very active on social media. I'm known as the undisputed heavyweight champion of content. I have 2 live streams that I do every week, one at 8:30 a.m. Eastern called Discipline, like we talked about. And I have my own interview live stream called Ringside, which fits in the brand, of course, and that's Tuesdays at 3 o'clock. But yeah, just connect with me on social. I love making new friends and networking.
We are about to wrap up. I'd like to ask a quick feedback on today's guest experience on the show. And here is my question. What would you say about your today's guest experience on the show?
So coming from a guy that does exactly what you do as far as produce online content, I loved how methodically organized you were leading up to this show. It was like as soon as you hit go live, everything was on autopilot because you did the heavy lifting before. And it was very refreshing for me because sometimes not everybody understands all the legwork you have to do on these programs.
What would you say as a final word?
It's very simple. It's right on the shirt. Go get it.
Go get it. Thank you so much, Corey, for sharing your wisdom with us today. On the behalf of Growth Hacking Secrets community and our entire team, we really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia. Until the next episode, all good wishes.